This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices. You can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee right now by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. All right. What have you got for us tonight, Avram?
So I wanted to talk briefly about choosing a gaming monitor, upgrading your monitor, because that's an upgrade that people can actually get in early 2022, and it will change your game, literally and figuratively speaking, because a lot of the other things that you want to do for your computer, for your computer setup, you may have trouble affording or getting, right? Like getting a new graphics card has been a nightmare for about 2 years now. There are some signs that it could get better in a few months, but for now, pretty difficult. You can get a new CPU, you can get new SSD, you can get a lot of other stuff, but without the graphics card, it is difficult to really upgrade your performance, particularly if you're interested at all in gaming. But what you can get and what you can do is that you can get a gaming monitor for a relatively decent price. So I wanted to talk really briefly about some of the things that you need to look for, and I will just show here that we have some resources on Tom's Hardware. So I will share my screen for a second. Oops, the wrong button there. So if we look over here. So we have a list of the best gaming monitors. We also have a list of the best 4K gaming monitors. So the first question, of course, is, do you need a gaming monitor? Only if you are playing games at over 60 frames per second. But a lot of people want to play games at over 60 frames per second. So that is not unreasonable. What makes something a gaming monitor, besides the fact that it is marketed as such, is that it would have a refresh rate of at least 120 hertz. And that means that if you have a discrete graphics card that is capable of doing adaptive sync. Now, adaptive sync is the generic term for AMD FreeSync or NVIDIA G-Sync. Those technologies take your graphics card and they sync the refresh rate of the monitor to the frame rate of your game. So what is weird without it is, let's say you have a monitor that is fixed at 60 hertz. That means it refreshes the picture on the screen 60 times per second, right? And if you were operating at 120 if you were playing a game at 120 frames per second, you would lose some frames there. This might result in some ghosting. It might result in some tearing of images. So you want, ideally, for the game performance, the FPS, to match the hertz. And what these monitors do is they will synchronize with the graphics card. So if the graphics card says, hey, we're giving you 72 frames per second, the screen will say, fine, I'm operating at 72 hertz. And that's how you avoid that type of tearing. Now, most monitors are marketed as either being FreeSync or G-Sync. FreeSync is the AMD standard, but most FreeSync monitors will work with G-Sync if you turn the setting on to use it, even if they're not certified for G-Sync. So that's important to know because there's a lot more FreeSync monitors than G-Sync because it costs, there's no licensing for monitor manufacturers to implement FreeSync, whereas there's a fairly, there's some type of fee for G-Sync. So, so the other thing to keep in mind is the panel. Other things to keep in mind are panel types. So there's three main panel types that you see on gaming monitors, or really on all monitors: TN, IPS, or VA. Now, TN is fast is capable of very fast refresh rates, but not really good image color quality at all. So most monitors have now moved beyond TN. Only some cheap ones have it. I would not buy a monitor that had a TN panel. IPS is very common, good for high refresh rate, pretty good color. VA generally has slower response times, but it has much better blacks. So it has better contrast because if you have a darker black, then your other colors contrast with it better, and so you get a more vivid image. And obviously, you want to get at least 120 hertz. Mostly today, the bottom refresh rate for a real gaming monitor is 144 hertz. The other thing to keep in mind is what resolution do you want? Our top pick here on our best gaming monitors page is the Dell S3220 DGF. It has also recently been upgraded to a model that's almost the same, that is the S3222 DGM. And what it is it has a 2K resolution, 2560 by 1440, and can go up to 165 hertz. So 2K resolution for a lot of gamers, that's about as high a resolution as they want to go if they want to get decent frame rates. Because if you want to have high frame rates, like 100 FPS or more, and you're playing at 4K, well, you're going to need quite an expensive monitor and quite an expensive graphics card to do that. But the Dell S3220 DGF often can be had for under less than $400. It's 32 inches and curved. A lot of people like a curved display, I should say. And if you get a curved display, it's always going to have a VA panel. So that is one of our favorite picks. Another thing to keep in mind, of course, is the color gamut. There's a lot of claims about what percentage of what color gamut. DCI-P3 is the wider color gamut that most monitors support. Obviously, the closer to 100% you can get is going to give you more vibrant color. Less expensive monitors will only do the sRGB gamut, which is less expansive, but also more content supports sRGB. So, you might more of your content might actually match with that. Now, of course, if you're using DCI-P3 color gamut, and it's not that your content won't work, you might just actually get more vibrancy than you were looking for, which could lead to some inaccuracy, but could also lead to a very vivid picture. If you want to save money, a good way to save money and get a gaming monitor for under $300 is to get one that is 1080p resolution. There you can get something like this Gigabyte G27F monitor that is can usually be had for well under $300, and that is 1080p. Sometimes you can even on sale get a high refresh rate 1080p monitor for under less than $250. Now, if you want to go, if you want top of the line, and top of the line in a reasonable price range, the Msi Optics Mpg 321 Urqd is a great choice. This is a 32-inch 4K gaming monitor with quantum dot technology like you see in some high-end television sets. And so it gives you fantastic color quality, but it's only around $900. So a good deal. Operates at 144 hertz. Actually also takes USB-C input, which not everything does. And it supports HDR, which is great. And it can even jump all the way up to 700 nits of brightness when playing HDR content. And its color gamut, it exceeds DCI-P3's limit and goes up to 117%. So if money is no object, this is definitely a monitor to get, because and I wouldn't even say money's no object, because $900 is really not that bad. There are monitors that are $2,000, especially if you're talking about ones that are, OLED. That's, another level entirely. Of course, if you really want, you can always go for things that are up to 360 hertz. Now, most of the time when you're getting a 360 hertz monitor, you're talking about still 1080p at that speed. So why would you do it? Esports gamers. So some esports gamers will, want a game like Counter-Strike Go, which they play competitively, and they can, if they can get 240 hertz or 360 hertz, that means that might be the difference between making the shot and not making the shot. So, there's a lot of opportunity here to really upgrade your performance, get something which will provide you with higher resolution, better color, better refresh rates, maybe even some features you don't have, like USB ports on your next gaming monitor, and that could really change how you experience your system.
And, not that long ago, when we would talk about a gaming monitor, the prices were up there. And you had a couple options in there that were, in fairly regular monitor range, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you just want high refresh rate, you can get a high refresh rate monitor for $250 or less. If you want, I would not get a monitor that was below 2K resolution. I think the sweet spot right now for price and performance for a gaming monitor is to get a 2K, as in 2560 by 1440 resolution monitor that operates at 165 hertz or 144 hertz or higher. That is the sweet spot in terms of price of performance. Now, we were talking about gaming monitors. If you want a productivity monitor, then by all means, it's reasonable to get a 4K monitor that operates at 60 or 75 hertz and use that. So, and those, you can easily now get a 4K 27 or 28-inch monitor for about $350, maybe less. Of course, if you want really good color, you might be spending 400 or 500. You might be spending 500. So it really depends what your needs are, but obviously you can really change your experience by changing your screen. It is something that, like, I think people hold on to their monitors for a long time because they don't break that often. Right. So, and they continue to work with newer and newer computers. So here I have 4 monitors today, and I have my top 2 monitors here are older than my son. Right. That's how old they are. They're older than my 9-year-old, but they still work fine. So up until last year, I was using them because they worked fine. Why would you get rid of something that works fine? Every time you get a new computer, the same monitor would work fine. But eventually, you say, what if I could change the experience? The thing that I'm looking at the most, that I'm interacting with the most, is my monitor.
Right.
If you, those who tuned in last week know that your monitor could also be catching your coughs and sneezes. But anyway, it's very intimate with you, your monitor. So anyway,
I had forgotten about that in the conscious part of my mind until just now.
Now, none of the monitors I named claim to suck up your snot, so I should.
It's an important disclaimer.
Yes, that is not on the VA panel or the IPS panel. But I'm not. But given that you probably don't want to be sneezing on your monitor, your best bet is to look for something with really good color quality, good resolution, and high refresh rate.
Yeah, and it sounds like there are some great options in there. I think everybody knows that my setup is in mission control is a little old. The 4 main monitors that I have, we bought when Sumo was pretty early in its days, so we're talking probably 12 years old. And I've been looking at possibly updating them, and obviously Tom's Hardware is the place that I always look to figure out what I'm looking for.
Now, one thing I will say is, if you are doing a 4 monitor layout as I have here, I wouldn't go for curved monitor in those cases, because I feel like, and I haven't tried this, but I feel like it would be weird, because the monitors are kind of curving in, so putting them next to each other probably isn't a great user experience.
Yes.
Have you tried that at all? It seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. So anytime you have one of those immersive gaming racing chair things, it's always 3 curved monitors. And if you look at if you turn and just look at 2 of them, they're behind you. With the 3, they're literally even leaning back. Even with 3, they're behind you. So yeah, 2, you're catching stuff literally out of your peripheral vision. It's real weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of these gaming monitors are not designed to be used in a multi-monitor setup, or if they are, it's not meant that you get two of the same.
Right.
Maybe you'd have your gaming monitor, and then you'd have your non-gaming secondary, tertiary monitors.
The thing that I've been seeing a lot lately, and something that I'm starting to understand more and more, for in here, obviously I have you here, and then I have chat over here. A lot of people are getting the ultra wide curved monitors and turning them 90 degrees and putting them to the side and having chat on one of those ultra wide monitors. And boy, I can tell you, during CES, I wished that this was sideways.
In portrait mode?
Yeah.
Huh. That's an interesting idea.
I wished that's what I had during CES, because chat was moving so quick during CES this year that I'm losing stuff as we're talking about it. It's scrolling right off the well, in this case, the bottom of the screen, because our chat works different. But it's literally just disappearing off the bottom of the screen. I'm like, no, I was going to quote that person. Well, now I've got to go grab it on another screen real quick. So I kind of like that idea, especially in here. I want to turn that one 90 degrees and then get an ultra wide for it eventually.
Well, what I want is that Samsung Arc monitor that we saw, I shouldn't say we saw, that was at CES, and that our freelancer Benjamin saw at CES the Samsung Arc monitor.
Yes, indeed. But I'd also like Samsung's The Wall. So, you know.
Yeah.
That would make for a really easy backdrop, wouldn't it? Anyway, obviously you were showing off the resources. How can people see them for themselves?
So go to tomshardware.com and you can see our list of best gaming monitors, best 4K gaming monitors specifically, and see if there's anything on there that I'm sure there's something on there that would suit your needs if you're in the market.
Fantastic. Well, Avram, as always, I appreciate the glimpse into that part of the industry that I so often have to skip over, especially when it's time for me to be looking at monitors. So thank you for that. And as always, I look forward to what we talk about next. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Piltch Point with Avram Piltch. If you did, please subscribe to our channel, and of course hit the notification bell since subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. And if you've got topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you don't want to follow us on YouTube, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways that you can follow our content. You can find all of that by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.